Hello and welcome back to the Spirit Hunters Podcast. I'm Lance White Eagle, and as always, I'm joined by
Hunter White Eagle,
Chrissy Holtz,
Lisa White Eagle,
Shane White Eagle.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about our second ever hunt at the Dudley Hotel in Salamanca, New York. I can't talk today, apparently. But before we get to that, I'd like to talk a little bit about debunking, because during our hunts, that's what we spend a lot of time actually doing, is trying to find a
reasonable or logical explanation.
Yes, for anything that occurs. So,
For
you have,
well,
yeah,
when we were out the Owego 1867 Parkview Inn in Owego, New York, we were in the main dining room, and on the cameras, we kept picking up this glare, and we didn't know what it was coming from. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And we're sitting there. It was like a green reflection of something, and we weren't sure where it was coming from. Eventually, we figured it out. It was one of the Boo Bear. So we have this Boo Bear. It's like it senses EMF and vibration and touch and all that. But it's got a little green light in its stomach, with a little chest that lights up. And for whatever reason, it was somehow reflecting off of one of the pictures in the room, and shining in front of the camera, which is eventually what it was. It was just that light. But the fact that we had to figure out how it was and where it came from and stuff like that. But yeah, we there's been several instances that we've
we always try to go through and find.
Anytime we have something that occurs, we try to look for a logical explanation, and then hopefully, if there's not one, then you may have some kind of proof of paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And to give a little more background information, maybe we could talk about some of the jobs or things that we've had that have kind of affected, I don't know, our view on things, or
like actual jobs.
Yeah, like you have Hunter was in the military, and has that
it, I guess, in the sense of not going in scared, also being not super skittish and worried about everything. You're focused on what it is, so that way if something else does happen, you're not caught off guard from it. You know what I mean? So it kind of prepares you in that sense. But I'm sure there's other ways. I just can't think of any right now. But
Caught off guard in the way that he just asked that question to you.
yeah. And like you work with children primarily. Does that have any effect on your ghost hunting?
Oh my goodness! I turned that off too.
No, I don't think so.
ESPN.
No, I usually, I'm really easy at turning things off. So most of the time I just, I don't know, tune stuff out.
Yeah, well, like Chrissy had said, she tries to communicate with them as like a therapist. Do you try to talk to them like
a kid?
Like you would a kid? Now you better knock that off.
Go in timeout.
Like I have been for 800 years.
Why do you think I'm in this basement back room?
I think we all do that at some point. When you're trying to be empathetic, you have a tendency to sometimes do that. But usually I catch myself and, this probably is a grown person.
They don't want to be talked to like they're a child.
We had an investigation at the Stone House, which is formerly an almshouse and insane asylum. And obviously some of those people had severe mental illness or other types of disabilities, and I found myself doing that a lot and trying to correct it later. But
yeah, any of your work experience? We've already talked about your therapy.
Not really.
No.
I mean, I worked at several places that have been haunted that I experience
prepared you
things
for
that
it.
kind
Yeah.
of prepared
Yeah.
me for it, but not
Yeah.
nothing that I took from my work.
And you were a reporter for some time. That probably you go into things a little more analytically,
Yeah.
You look at it
helps
different
with,
ways.
especially with the debunking of things.
Mm-hmm.
But so our second investigation ever was the Dudley Hotel
And until recently was our most active place.
Yeah. It's on Main Street in Salamanca, and at the time we investigated it, it had been shut down for 10 years with no business or activity in there other than it being used for personal storage for the owners at the time.
And in that 10 years, it broke down fast and degraded, a lot.
There was a lot of
Yes.
damage. Water pipe burst on the second floor, caused severe damage. The second floor was a little hard to walk down the halls.
Yeah. Now, when we were going in, before we actually got there, what was everybody's expectation going into there?
I was excited. I was, I think these two were too, because as soon as we got there, they took off right into ours, go to try to look for the stuff themselves.
Yeah.
And
As a note, this building, like I said, it's been abandoned for 10 years.
it's an old hotel.
It's an old
big.
hotel. It's easy to get into, so we were going to go through and make sure it was safe first and that there weren't any squatters. And as we're talking about that, we look around and
We're like, where's Chrissy?
Yeah.
Where's Lisa?
they are just gone in the hobo.
And at the
in
time-
the hobo hotel. Yeah.
The hobo. And at the time, we didn't have our walkie-talkies yet. We didn't even set up the equipment at all. We had literally just walked into the building, getting ready to grab the equipment from the vehicles, and somebody took off. But that's kind of why we need those walkie-talkies, so that if something does happen like that, one person's not stranded by themselves.
Yeah.
So
Now, did you have any expectations going in, Christine?
I mean, I went in with an open mind, and I was really excited, but I wasn't 100% sure if we would get anything there, But
Yeah,
I was
skeptical.
really excited about it when
Yeah.
I went.
I'm not quite sure. I mean, as we were driving there, I felt fine, but it seemed like the closer, I don't know if it was anxiety or what it was, but the closer we got, I could feel it in my chest. And I remember, I think I told you, I was just like, oh.
And afterward. That's a local place for us. I've heard a number of ghost stories about the building. A lot of times in our new investigations, we try not to get the ghost stories, just the history of the building, maybe the architecture, and then later ask the ghost stories so we can, see if those have anything to do with what we received as evidence. But in this case, we all have had personal experiences there or knew somebody directly that did. So it may have skewed some of the, our thinking, at least going in there. We were pretty excited, and we were still new as a group doing this. So, it was a little, nervous, I think, was for some people, but it was fun.
Yeah. Now, going into it, you mentioned in a previous episode that sometimes your rods would say, don't go there. Mm-hmm. Was the Dudley one of those?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
That was the first one, I think, right?
Different days I would ask leading up to it, and most of the time it was like, I didn't even get the question out, and they were like, nope. Nope, not going. I'm like, well, I'm going anyways.
Like we mentioned in the previous episode, Lisa has a tendency to attract things, and I think whatever was coming through on those rods was trying to protect her.
Yeah. And now we arrived, we had a good-sized group when we got there. There was, of course, the 5 of us, but we also had Justin and Tana.
Yep. Sarah,
Aiden,
Tori,
And
Nathan.
And Nathan.
Yeah.
Dakota.
Oh, and
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
Dakota.
yeah, Dakota was there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, and
so-
Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good-sized group going into there.
The biggest
it's a
at
big
one
place,
time.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had no power. And so, yeah, we came in, like you said, the women took off before anybody else to kind of explore the building. And on your first walkthrough, did you guys get anything abnormal?
I don't think I did. I don't think I felt anything.
Other-
Really, I
other
mean,
than
I
the
wasn't.
mushy floors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I wasn't scared or didn't have any ill.
Because I don't think any of us
Feelings
really had
or-
any weird feelings.
No.
I was
No.
just so
Not
excited.
till later.
That
Not till later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll get to that here in a little
Now,
bit.
you mentioned some of the stories that we had all heard about the Dudley, except maybe for Christine, because you're located out of Bradford, Pennsylvania. But some of them we had heard stories of. Some of the cleaning people would have faucets turn on and off while they were cleaning the room. Showers, television turn on and off. Well, one in particular cleaning person was in the main room, if I'm recalling correctly, and the kitchen sink the bathroom sink turned on. So they went into the bathroom, turned off the sink. When they turned that off, the TV came on. So they came back out, turned off the TV, and then the sink turned on again. And they were like, you know what, the hell with it.
Well, didn't you have a story of you heard someone walking up behind
Oh,
you?
yeah. I was at the Dudley
Years prior.
years prior, going to see one of the employees, and went up to, I believe it was the 3rd floor, and I got off the elevator and started walking down the hallway looking for it, because the employee was supposed to be in one of the rooms. And as I passed one of the doors, I heard the door open and close, and I heard somebody walking down the hallway behind me. And I didn't want to be weird, like, and turn around and make eye contact with somebody who's like staying in the hotel. So I'm just walking down the hallway, and I hear them just walking behind me. And I went over even like a squeaky spot in the floor where you stepped on it, and the floor kind of, and I walk off, and I hear the person behind me, and I get to the end of the hallway,
Where
and
your room is.
yeah, and they weren't there. They were
Right.
on the 2nd floor. So I don't look like a weirdo. I start explaining what I'm doing for the person behind me, because I don't want to be like, oh, I'm just walking down this hallway and turn around. So I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I was looking for somebody, and turn around to face who has been following me down the hall the whole time, and the hall's completely empty.
Nobody
So,
behind him.
No, I went downstairs and asked the desk lady. Nobody was on that floor.
Yep.
The floor was empty. The rooms were all vacant.
Wow. Yeah.
So we had those going in. And now, what were some of the earlier experiences that we got in there?
the lights turning off on the stairwell.
Oh yeah, those my little square ones.
Yeah.
Also, remember when me, you, Monkey, I think you were up on the 2nd floor by the fire escape. Monkey and I heard that, woman's voice or whatever. We both looked at each other at the same exact time at the end of the hallway.
Oh, and we actually thought maybe, because that was a concern going in, is that people had broken into the Dudley in the past.
And the fire escape was wide open.
And the fire escape was open, so it was clear enough that we thought, oh,
Somebody's
there's
in
somebody actually in the building.
And there was some evidence, too. Spray paint on a couple windows, things like that.
Turns out there was nobody in there. In that same hallway, though, remember, because we posted my phone up with the laser grid facing the end of the hallway, and we got those footsteps walking up to the door, and then somebody slamming that door, which was originally locked, that janitor's closet, that was locked for some reason, somehow came unlocked on the next floor up.
Yeah.
That, whatever reason, somehow these janitor closets right at the end of the hallways were locked. And
Heavy duty steel doors with, strong locks.
yeah, big, thick, doors. They were locked, but on the camera, you don't see it. But in the video, you can hear somebody walking up. The door's, 4 feet from the camera.
Yeah.
You can hear someone walking up, footsteps walking right up, and then all of a sudden you hear that door slam, and it's a heavy, 200-pound door. And it shook the camera that was on the mount beside it, 4 or 5 feet away.
Yeah, I think they were like the fire safety doors to, block off in case you have a fire, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and then when we were out back, we saw the curtain move in that window. And I was out there.
When you were, and we went, and that was the room we were in before we left, where we got
Right.
the cat ball activity.
Yeah, exactly. And we kept
Spirit
hearing all
box
those.
activity.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
But
that room.
speaking
now.
of doors, you were talking about doors. There
yeah.
was one part where there was a closet in this one room, which we have a lot
That
of
was
stories
210,
about
right?
this particular room. So I'm sure you'll hear them. But a couple of the guys went up to this one closet door in the room, and they were pulling pretty hard, turning the knob, trying to open the door.
We couldn't figure out why
Yes.
a closet would
Wasn't
have
opening.
a lock on the inside because there was no lock on the
It was
outside. of it.
actually room 234.
So I went up to the door and jokingly said, it would be really nice if you would open this door for me or something along that line.
Yes.
And I reached out, turned the knob, and it just opened.
It opened right up.
Yeah.
Several of us
Me,
tried that
you,
door before she
Coda,
did, including
Monkey,
myself.
we all tried this door, and we're big guys.
And we were pulling on it.
We're just trying to
Yeah.
get that thing open. She just opens right up.
Yeah.
Like,
When we first got there, also on the second floor when I was doing my walkthrough, because I try to do that in every place we go, I saw two black short shadows, like children's size but thick, run across the hall and go into a linen closet. Went down there, couldn't see anything in the closet, and I couldn't get anything to engage with me, but other than some noises of movement on the shelves. But I think that was the only thing that happened to me in the beginning, anyway.
yeah, totally added. That's when all the activity really started to.
Lise?
I don't think I had anything happen, actually. I mean, I spent time up on the third floor by myself, just sitting there talking away. I didn't hear anything.
Now, the bird. Who found the...
Oh,
that was
us me. It was
me,
you,
I can't remember who else was with us.
somebody else. Maybe
Oh,
Coda.
another one that went with us was Tori, Aiden's friend.
Yeah,
Yeah, you mentioned her.
Oh, okay.
We were in the basement, and this basement is massively long. The entire span of the building, which is probably 300 feet long. And there's a main segment of the hallway that goes all the way to the end, and there's all these different rooms. Well, about halfway down the hallway, there's the furnace. What's the name for that room?
Like
the
a
boiler
utility
room.
boiler room.
One of several in the building.
Yeah, and so we were just looking around because this was the first time we went into the basement, and we're looking, and all of a sudden behind the furnace, there's like this, 1.5, 2 foot wide hole dug out into the cement, and drops down maybe 3 feet, and we look in there, and there's a pigeon with his neck,
Facing the wrong way. Yeah, his
Yeah.
head was turned around.
and it was fresh. All the feathers were still. It was like it just happened. You could tell, it something either hit something somehow. There's no way it just ends up in the basement.
Yeah, we
that
looked
hole.
all around. There was no outside.
There's no openings to the outside.
Opening,
There's no exits
yeah.
around.
No outside
There,
opening.
there was no
and
evidence
big,
of any
heavy
other
steel doors.
birds.
Exactly, and it was
No,
just
no
the
other
one
bird
bird
evidence.
in this hole in the bottom of this, where I guess it was a sump pump,
Yeah.
and it was fresh, and that's odd, But there was a few things, and then Coda said, he saw that cross thing on the ground
Oh yeah.
And then that was
the
somehow
wooden cross.
moved.
Oh,
or
yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was odd.
Yeah, there was a cross laying on the floor in the basement, and I do believe when Dakota came down, he scooted
Well,
it to the side of the.
I just want to emphasize,
ball
it was
with
just
his
a
feet.
couple of sticks that were lined up in, the cross
shape
shape.
of
Shape of a cross.
And he used his foot and kind of kicked them to the side because they were in the middle of the walkway. And then when he came back through, they were back in the same position,
Right in the middle of the hallway.
which he found very.
And there was obviously nobody there because
Yeah.
we were all together.
And it happened twice, that
Yeah.
the occurrence. Not just with him, but with,
We actually have that on
Couple other
video
people.
of him finding that out.
yep.
So maybe we can find that somewhere and put it in. But yeah, there was a lot of random things here and there, And like when we were in the kitchen, that REM pod going off by itself. Remember we put it by the coffee pot?
That's when you were sexually harassing the REM pod.
The ghost.
Yes.
Asking it to touch the.
Sorry, the ghost.
The REM pod is a device with an antenna on it, and when something gets close to it and interrupts the kind of magnetic field that it's putting off, it makes a sound.
And lights up different
Right.
colors.
It has a magnetic field, and it also has a temperature gauge that if it goes beyond 5 degrees either way, it'll allow or it'll set an alarm off in a different set of lights.
And
Yeah.
it's a pretty loud sound, so if you're several rooms over, you're still going to be able to hear
Yeah, and that went off a few times. We set it by the coffee pot because one of the stories we had heard is that they'd be trying to make coffee for the morning for the patrons and staff, and they put the basket in the coffee pot and come back through, and the basket had been thrown out. And the
Right.
ground
I guess,
scattered all over the floor.
According to the tales, there was a guy named George that stayed in the kitchen a lot, and supposedly that was one of the things he did.
Same with-
Apparently was not a coffee drinker.
No.
There was the owner too, Charles Dudley, that are supposedly seen walking the hallways and in the basement.
Yeah, there was a figure of an older man that a lot of the employees had reported seeing, and they
Assumed
just
it
kind of
was.
assumed that
Yeah.
it was the original builder. The Dudley, by the way, had burned down
I was gonna
twice.
say, yeah.
Right.
In the 1920s, I think, was one
And
fire.
then 44.
Yeah,
I
one
was
of
the
them
other
they
one, or
replaced in
46.
1912, and then one later. And they had a little bit of flood issue too. That one time when they had the big flood.
Yeah, in the 70s, 77 or something like that, I think it
Mhm.
flooded. For years, the last 40, 50 years, none of the businesses have really done well there.
No.
No,
Even when it was the
Struggle.
only hotel in the
In the
town.
entire area, too. Because the next one would be only.
and
in
in
the
its
next-
day, it was a nice hotel.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it was. It was located near a major railroad station. Salamanca was a major railroad town, and it was next door to the station.
Was it Al Capone stayed there? And there was a couple other.
A lot of famous people. Ray Stevens is the most
Yep.
notable.
Ray Evans.
Or Ray Evans,
Yeah.
excuse me. Currently now there's a Ray Evans Theater there. There was a song wrote about it also.
Yeah.
But that town had all four of the major railroads at one point.
Right
So there
into
was
it,
a
yep.
lot of activity there. It was a booming town at one point.
So, before we get to the bigger stuff, you mentioned the lights. We have battery operated lights we put on the stairwells for safety.
They're like
And to
button lights.
turn them on and off, you have to depress them, and it takes a decent amount
good
of
bit
force,
of force, yeah.
to turn them on and off. And we had throughout the night those lights on various different stairwells being turned off.
Right.
We also had the sounds
and they
of
stay on for
footsteps.
6 hours straight.
Yeah, and we
unless
weren't even
you-
there that
no,
long.
yeah. So
We also had a couple people, if I'm recalling correctly, who heard people walking
the
up and down the stairs.
those big echoing boom,
Yeah.
boom. Yeah.
When none of us were on the stairwell.
We also, Justin, we call him Monkey, saw one of the hall lights being moved right when he came in. That was pretty cool. He said he actually saw it shaking and slide over.
The work light, yeah.
The
Yeah.
same guy was walking down the hallway with you and Coda, I think, right? When he ran into something.
Was
An
that
invisible-
That was
Yeah,
Dudley.
it was
Yeah,
the Dudley.
right
Oh,
in front of that room. where
me
we,
and Nathan. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Monkey Justin was walking down the hallway, and Nathan and I were walking along with him. And I was
Coda
actually
was there,
looking
too.
in one of the rooms,
yeah.
and I heard Justin run into something. Like you could audibly hear
Like-
like a thud.
Yeah.
I thought in the dark he had ran into one of the radiators on the side of the wall.
Mhm.
But I turned around, he's standing in the middle of the hallway, and he looks very confused. And so I asked him what was going on, and he said like he just full on hit something solid.
Yeah.
Like he ran into the back of somebody.
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Didn't-
I go ahead.
Didn't his bracelet come off too? Just around that
yes.
time?
Yeah.
Yes, it
Whoa.
did. We wear as
She's actually has one on now. If you want to show him the leather.
as a native tradition, we put a leather band around our wrist whenever we're going somewhere, and it's to help protect against various things.
Oh,
And
don't forget about the medicine bag too.
Yeah.
Oh
Later
yeah,
on.
with the other stuff.
you have to have somebody else tie it on generally because it's hard to tie a knot on your own wrist. So they're secure.
They're usually snug.
Yeah, and around the same time he ran into something, his leather band came undone.
And just want to mention for later on, this happened right in front of a room that we ended up getting a lot of activity in later on. The room that I saw the curtain.
Oh,
that was
that's true.
right
That
in front
was
of that
directly
room.
in front
Literally
of that room.
a foot and a half from that door.
Yeah.
So
We also, throughout the night, several people heard odd noises, like furniture being moved, and a few of us even heard disembodied voices.
Voices. Well, the one we heard was like it sounded like several people in the lobby when we were in the room.
Yeah, we'll probably get to that.
Yeah, okay.
But first, let's get to one of the fun ones. So, on the second floor, the room where Christine was able to open the closet.
And also had a big stack of Bibles
Yeah,
outside
it had
the door, which was weird.
The Bibles, it looked like from most of the hotel had been collected because, like I said, it was defunct. Oddly, though, all of them, instead of being put in a box and taken downstairs where most of the hotel equipment and furniture was, they were all stacked outside of this one particular room. And the room
which was odd enough, you know.
Kind of a suite. It was connected to the room next door to it. There was a connecting doorway.
Twin beds in the one side.
Yeah, twin beds in the one room and a queen or king size bed in the other. And I don't know quite why, but we kind of felt drawn to that room.
I think it was because of the lock thing originally with that closet. I think that's what initially drew our attention to that room.
Yeah.
You know.
And so I had forgotten. So this closet door is locked. Christine's able to open it, and then I don't know if somebody else suggested it or if it's your own idea to get inside of it and shut the door to see if something would,
I think it was my
would
idea.
come in there with you. And it was like, okay, well, there goes Christine.
And never see her again.
Yeah.
Nothing did come in the closet with me.
It's good knowing you.
But around that same time, the maintenance door, which was directly opposite that room, also unlocked. And was
Which is
open.
the same big door that we were talking about.
Which we had
earlier.
already previously checked.
Yep.
We checked all the doors in the building when we first initially were setting up to see what we could get access to.
Somehow
what we couldn't.
They came unlocked, opened, and slammed shut.
Yep. So we went into this room, and what did we get in the room?
Well, I wasn't there initially.
Originally, it was just EVPs, or EMFs, like a bunch of crazy readings. The cat ball went off a few times. And then we started asking it questions, and we started getting answers from our cat ball and the EMF in correlation to what we asked.
Yeah. Now, we call them the cat balls, are small motion sensors that light up when the gyroscope inside is disturbed, and they illuminate, and they're bright, easy to see in the dark.
So something would have to
or
touch
manipulated to go off.
Yeah.
And the EMF reader detects electromagnetic spikes. Now, this building has no power. It's had no power for
10
years.
Yeah.
And in that room, we were getting readings eventually over 100.
Way up.
Higher than
we
you
ever
get
thought they could go.
from a household outlet.
And a household that, like you said, didn't have power. So
yeah, and they would respond. The reading would be 0, and we said, "Oh, if it's yes, can you make this number go up?"
usually it was like 10. And then once he realized that he had whatever it was, didn't have an issue getting it, that high. We're like, hey, can you get to this number? And it would.
It could sustain an electric force or change the temperature by several degrees on
the whole night
on command. We would ask questions. Typically, when a spirit sets something like that off, it exhausts them. They don't have that kind of a energy level. Otherwise, they're draining batteries or something from our equipment. In this case, this thing could sustain these electromagnetic forces for
hours.
Ended up being hours.
Yeah, because we ended up being there a little longer than we initially wanted to because of all the activity we were getting in that room.
Yeah. Also kind of uncommon. Mostly you hear about temperature drops with supernatural activity. It'll get colder. This room, the rest of the building, most of us were wearing jackets
Because it was cold.
Yeah, it was cold. It was October,
November.
Oh yeah, in Western New York, and it is
October.
chilly out.
So
It was October.
That room, there was, I think it was just me and you in there.
At the one point, yeah.
And the temperature started going up and up. It hit 70, it hit 75, it hit 78 degrees.
Yeah.
In that room.
In the middle of November, in a house building that's got no power, no heat, nothing.
As the temperature is dropping outside.
Oh, well,
right, because by this time it's after dark. Temperature it was pretty cold, probably 60 or low 60s, like upper 50s, something like that.
In that same room during the session with me and you, remember my phone turned off twice. In that same room, remember it was going for like however many, whatever.
That's another phenomenon we had is our equipment, our phones, things like that would get turned off by specifically pushing, a button. It was something we had.
On the one on Hunter's phone, you can actually see on the video where the picture kind of moves as something pushes the button.
Whatever's in front of
Like
it.
it jars the phone.
Yeah, and we heard the one time, because we were actually in the room, you heard the doo-doo when it kicked off, and then, that was weird.
So we were in the room, and I think that's when we called you guys in, because we were getting these extremely high spikes. And Christine, the whole group pretty much came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, initially it
came
was
in
Dakota
super
and
late.
somebody else that were getting real high spikes. And
Yeah. And then it seemed to take a shine to you two.
The women, yeah.
yeah, it seemed to like the women,
Wanted
or these
us
two
To
especially.
leave.
To leave. We
And
asked.
we confirmed that multiple times just to make sure. We're like, hey, do you want us to leave?
How did it confirm?
Well, we were asking them. We're like, originally it was like, hey, because when everybody were all together, we did notice it seemed to get more responses when the women would ask the questions. So we at one point were just like, hey, do you want us men to leave and the women to stay in here? And if you do, say, up to 10 or up to 15, whatever it was. And it hit that number and teeter between 1 and 2 points and then stay that way. And then we left. But didn't something happen when we were leaving the room?
We after we found out it specifically, and we asked several times in several different
To
ways,
confirm it, yeah.
that it wanted us guys out and just wanted the women in there. So we were leaving, and I said something like, be nice, we'll be out here. And just as that happened, the REM pod started ringing like crazy.
Yeah, and it held it for a solid,
Yeah.
So we left the room, and then they stayed in there and had their own experience.
What did you guys get? Now, it was over a year ago, but...
Yeah, we had some, it would respond temperature-wise. Were we asking it to reduce the temperature or raise it? I can't remember.
I think we asked it to reduce it because
Reduce
we
it.
were
It was
like,
hot.
because
was
you were
hot
like
in there,
thirsty.
yeah.
And we were like, oh
Yes.
man, it's getting hot. I'm thirsty. And I'm like, hey, why don't you turn temperature down a little bit? And then the temperature started dropping.
Also, the cat ball went off at least once or twice when we were in there. I know it did.
It went off.
It was on the tray across from us.
It went off several times at that place,
But-
in all different locations too.
And now, when it was just you two, you also, through asking questions, and they were getting answers through spikes in the EMF and reactions on the cat ball.
And again, there's no electricity in this
No
place, and we're
electricity in the
getting
building
these
whatsoever.
high spikes.
And it started to... It told you guys like it was kind of playing the victim at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it seemed like it was trying to
yeah.
tug on our heartstrings almost, like make a like
Like, do you
tap
need
into our
help? And it
empathy.
was like, yes.
Like,
And, are you
yes.
scared? Yes. So they got those responses, and then it kind of settled down a little bit, and Hunter and I came in, I do believe.
Right
And
after.
you two left, and we came in, and you guys had told us that it was kind of giving you that vibe, which is not the vibe Hunter and I got from this thing.
We got like an evil, or maybe just an a-holy kind of vibe.
More
Yeah.
aggressive.
But I just wanted, because I forgot, was when we all went downstairs, it was just the girls. We went out for a smoke break. That's when I felt sound that, or scratch and cut on my back right here.
Oh yeah, he had
Yeah.
a really nasty scratch.
And
on
we
his
actually
back.
have that on video. It actually broke the skin, didn't make me bleed, but it tore a few layers off.
Currently available on the Spirit Hunters YouTube channel.
That's right, actually. It's in a short. But yeah, and it just I didn't even notice it. I didn't feel it happening until we got outside, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like feeling my side. And I could feel that it's like scuffed up a little bit. So I had my dad pull out his camera and take a video, and sure enough, there's at least 2 big old marks of tore skin,
and very clear, red, irritated scratches.
right after coming out of that room where he was just saying him and I did not get the same feel sorry for me type of vibe that they got. You know what I mean?
No. So we went back in after Christine and Lisa left, and they relayed to us the answers they were getting, which did not jive with the answers we were getting.
No, not at all.
So we went in there and asked well, I do believe you said, because we got a strong male presence from that. I don't think anybody really thought it was feminine, right?
No, I don't think so. No.
And Hunter actually said, you know what? It's just us guys. Like let's be honest with each other. Were you lying to those girls? And the thing spec'd up to 45.
Yeah.
And he was like, at 45, you could put it on your breaker box in the basement and it won't go that high.
Yeah.
We got some pretty high readings while we were in there, too.
Yeah, a lot of it wasn't, remember, because later we ended up getting like high hundreds and, sometimes even teeter out,
Yeah.
So
error out on the
at 199 and it teeters out. That's ridiculous.
Tremendous. And the EMF reader was stationary. We set it up on a dresser. Nobody was touching it. It was in the same spot, and it was fluctuating. And that one is not even actually necessarily designed as a ghost hunting tool.
No.
That one was bought from an electrical supply.
For electricians and stuff.
We actually have videos of that exact footage on our Facebook page, Spirit Hunters. So go ahead and follow that.
The other thing I really was impressed by is when we asked it to change the temperature, it would change 4 to 5 degrees.
And it didn't
at one point 10 degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant, especially in that environment. Now, some of it could be explained, you went from 2 people to 6 people in a room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe, but not to that degree.
Well, most these rooms weren't small, so even if we had 6 people in there, it's not going to heat up 10 degrees from our body temperature.
And when it hit close to 80, there was only 2 people in there, only me and you.
Yep.
You 2 were in there by yourself.
And we were 6 feet from it. So.
And you asked it, and it dropped down to low 70s to a nice, reasonable temperature. But I think it was the second time you and I went in, we shut that door
The middle
that
door.
connected this room to what we assumed was like it was
like
set up for a family to rent these
but
rooms.
it could also be separated as well.
Yeah. And when we shut that door, the meter started spiking crazily.
Right.
It did not
It did not want it to be shut. He wanted it open.
So we said, can you make this go higher? If you want us to open that door up, can you spike this up? And I think that's the first time we hit 80.
Yeah. And we were like blowing our minds.
Yeah. So we opened the door back up because at this time we were still
in a friendly
nice.
mode.
Ish.
Even though Hunter and I thought it was suspicious that it was giving completely different vibes
to the women,
to Lisa and
to
Christine
us,
than it was to us.
More, yeah.
Well, and we asked specific questions. Do you like this man? No. It bottom out for where we're at.
I forgot we did
and
that.
we asked, do you like Chrissy? They shoot way up. It was pretty specific of who it liked and who it didn't like.
We did that with every single person that was in that room.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is how we ended up in the room.
Exactly. That's right. Okay. I remember. Okay.
And then I think it was when we had gone back in, we asked kind of like, well, why don't you like us? You don't like our jokes, because on a hunt we like to have a good time. We like to laugh and crack jokes, and it didn't seem to mind that. And then it occurred to Hunter. On most of our hunts, I carry Shane and I's father's tobacco bag with us, and I had that on my hip at that.
You had it tied to your hip.
Yeah, I had it tied to my belt. And Hunter says, "Do you not like that bag?" And it spiked way up.
I think it hit almost 100 at that point, didn't it? Yeah.
And so Hunter says, well, do you want us to be in here without that? Spiked way up. Which to us was a big warning sign.
Big no-no, yeah.
Because
that's a protection thing.
It's a positive thing. We use that for positive things. And most spirits, if they're in a positive place or mentality, they shouldn't have a problem with that.
No,
Right.
exactly.
Now, later when we went in there, and the whole kind of group was in there, and we were asking questions and getting these spikes, Nathan, who was with us, who was a younger member, he's a teenager.
Yeah.
Justin and Tana's son. He began to feel very uncomfortable, and he just started to feel hot. He started to feel like he didn't want to be in there. So he was not quite comfortable walking through this old abandoned hotel by himself. So I said, well, I'll walk you downstairs. I'll go downstairs with you.
And then as he goes down, he's going down the hall with Nathan. I look beside me, and there is Lance's medicine bag. It has like these leather tassels that come off. It's just very neatly. It looks like somebody sat it out and straightened it out so it was nice and perfect right next to me. And Justin saw this as well, and we're like, holy crap, he wouldn't have left this here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin radioed me,
yeah.
and he goes, hey, did you mean to leave your medicine bag here? And I didn't even realize it was detached.
And it had been tied.
It had untied.
Yeah.
And been laying out on the bed.
Yeah.
And that's when we got Hunter and I, even though Shane was like, be nice.
Yeah.
Hunter and I got a little agitated with that because that to me was a direct kind of...
It was more that mixed with him being so sweet and lying to the women about, something completely different than what he was saying to us, you know what I mean? So already right there, that's two big red flags.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, but...
Now, we had videotaped as much as we could. We didn't have the amount of equipment we had then, or have now. But one of our tapes, we went through and we kind of showed the entirety of this room and the connecting room with the twin beds in there.
Actually, multiple cameras we did that with throughout the night.
So when we returned after the medicine bag had been taken off, we were a little more agitated with the thing.
He was angry. It's like going up to somebody. They're lying to you. They're obnoxious. They're trying to hit on your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then they take something that's religiously important to you,
like ripping off your
and
cross,
disrespects you that
that's
way.
a good
and that's how they
analogy.
felt, was disrespected.
Yeah.
And they acted a little bit out on that.
It's like I was saying, it's like someone coming up to you and ripping off your cross necklace off your neck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's disrespectful, it's...
So I think that's when we really...
I got a little peed off.
Yeah, and we shut that connecting door, and it seemed to get angry.
Yeah.
And but we also were getting different responses from the other room. A much weaker entity,
like it was a different person almost.
and which seemed, from the responses we were getting and the things, afraid of whatever was in this connecting room. So we shut that connecting door. The more aggressive entity started spiking that thing into the hundreds.
Yeah.
Also knocked over the tray.
Oh yeah,
in that other room when you shut the door.
That food tray.
Oh, that's
holder
true.
thing.
Oh, yeah, I
hit the
forgot
door.
about that.
Yeah, the luggage holder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the luggage holder.
yeah.
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 Hit the door and
Yeah.
clattered. Yeah, even though it was carpet.
Yeah. So I think at that point is when we decided, okay, let's not agitate this thing, but we were also concerned with whatever was connected to it that was afraid. So Shane, Christine, and I went into the connecting room. I thought you stayed because I thought you were the one telling us the numbers.
Yeah.
were
Yeah,
going
you were
up.
telling us the numbers.
Oh.
From the other room.
And we started to,
okay, yeah.
to
Right.
pray. Actually, I'm jumping around. Before that, you started reading Bible
I
verses
grabbed
in
one
the
of the
room with
Bibles
the
from the
entity.
hallway. Yeah, I was reading different
And
passages.
it seemed to like
certain
ones that were
yeah.
just kind of
General ones.
general
Yes.
ones.
But when it came to prayers that were to
Like ward
to
off.
ward off
ward
evil,
off us.
it did not do
bad,
that at
not
all.
evil
heavy.
things, then it got agitated.
It got agitated.
Even when a woman was actually
Yeah.
doing the reading.
So we went into the connecting room where we kind of felt like it was a child-like spirit. And Christine was reading some of the Bible verses, and I was putting out some of the tobacco like we do for native peoples. And meanwhile, in the other room, it was getting... You guys were seeing a very negative reaction where it was spiking ridiculously high numbers. And I think, was that when...
The box
No,
spring?
that was the second time we went back into that room.
We had all left and came back later,
up.
and that was when that
Literally, everybody was with us. So it's not like someone went up there.
Yeah.
We came back up after, I don't know, probably 10, 15 minutes later. And in the conjoined room with the two regular, I think they were just full-size beds. Not the mattress itself, but the box spring under the mattress was like, it's like someone held the mattress and just slid part of the box spring out, and it was just,
Yeah, it
what,
was
2
out,
feet out at least.
pretty far.
It
Like
was,
somebody would have had to yank
it was
Yeah.
significant, and
they're older
I have it on
beds.
one camera. I was panning and watching these guys, and I was going back and forth. 1 second, the mattress and the box spring is in one piece. Literally 5 seconds later, and it's pulled out. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Exciting.
And then I think, after we did some prayers and stuff in there, the spikes weren't quite going as high.
They were still a good bit, but they weren't anywhere like they were.
But that's when we went outside and you saw the curtain.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was, I think, at the car with somebody, and maybe it was Coda.
Yeah, because I think we were still
Yeah,
in the building.
didn't we go in
Me,
to
you,
find
and
the
Monkey.
room while
Yeah.
we waited outside
Oh, that's
to
right,
see
yeah.
if we got to the right window?
So I was getting like a drink or something out of the car. We parked by the back side of the building. My brother was with me, and then whatever reason, we were looking up, and I think it was the second floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could see something in the window.
First floor.
Well,
Maybe
with
119.
ground and then first floor. Yeah.
Yeah, because you get part of the basement level there,
Yeah.
and then the first floor. Yeah.
You see something in the window holding the curtain back, and like I didn't see a face. You can just see some black figure in the window blocking out the white curtain. Then as soon as I radioed, "Hey, there's somebody in this window," the curtain slams shut and just kind of teeters out until it stopped moving. And I was like, "Okay," radioed up to everybody. I think it was you, Lance, and Monkey, right? Or
Yeah, I think.
I'm Lance.
you, Lance, and Monkey.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the three of us. Yes.
So that went and followed that room, and then
Yeah, we were shining flashlights, and you
Yeah.
stayed there.
Yeah.
And we
To
shine
watch.
it, and you'd be like,
in that window,
got
right
it,
there.
that room. Now, before anybody else came in, we turned on the spirit box,
yes.
was it? And we said, "Is somebody in here?" And it said, "Yes."
Almost
Like
immediately.
immediately.
And we were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
guys, this is this
Yeah,
this
this
room's
is it.
hopping."
Yeah.
So then, us,
Everybody.
pretty much everybody
Yeah.
this
It
group
was-
here.
Well,
and
we had
Monkey.
Coda and
Actually,
Monkey
I was
there
down in
too.
the lobby most of that time when you guys were.
Yeah, because at that point,
Well, no, you came up in that room.
Yeah, you guys were already
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
And we're already going.
Yeah.
That's when I was
I
like
think somebody-
losing it over the ball going off.
we were
and it kept
freaking out because that was like the
going.
most activity we ever
Yeah.
got. We're like,
Yeah.
no way, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that-
Well, you can tell them about that. The ball.
in that room, the monkey,
Oh.
the cat ball.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was just going off.
Well, we set it on the radiator, which is of course defunct. And you asked, "Can you touch that cat
Yeah.
ball?"
In it.
I don't think you actually asked. You were explaining.
The first time
you were
we
like,
did.
"This is a REM pod. If you touch this, it beeps. This is the cat ball. If you touch this, it will light up." And as you're talking about it, it
Yeah.
lights up, and you're like,
Yeah.
And then I lost. Yeah.
"Oh my god!"
I wish I had one of those cat balls with me to show you guys,
Yeah.
but
And we
they're
have
really
all
cool.
that on camera.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
do an
Yeah.
episode where we just go over all the equipment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then we got direct answers from the spirit box.
Like how many people were in here, and it said 8
Seven
or
or
7 or
something like
whatever,
that.
and there was 6 of us plus the one spirit that was with us. We asked it questions like something about were you here before the building burnt down or something like that, and we got we got real good answers, like solid.
Solid yes, no's, or numbers. And then
We
you
think-
heard when we going through it, there was a whisper, right?
There's a couple whispers, just like really short, like yes, no, to like direct questions that were
we
being
reviewed
answered.
her video later. There were more than a few.
Yeah.
But we could hear a couple of them.
Yeah,
Real
direct
time.
answers to
Right.
somebody asks a question. Yes. And then towards the end, I know I had heard it. I'm pretty sure you
Talking about
did.
the lobby?
Well,
downstairs?
No, when we were
Hunter
in that
said
room.
he thought he saw a shadow or something.
In the hallway
first.
Yeah.
So we were kind of
But
looking that way.
I don't
we
think
were
he's-
discussing that a little
No,
bit,
so
and then
and then we heard a conversation coming from down the hall. It sounded
two
like.
young
we thought it
men,
was-
probably in their 20s.
No, we thought because it wasn't us. We thought we heard the conversation. We thought, well, maybe someone walked into the hotel and they're in the lobby.
Yeah, but
so
that's my point. We heard the
We heard
conversation,
them talking.
and
So-
it wasn't just a couple of everybody in the room heard it.
and it sounded like grown men having a
We
conversation.
didn't think it was a spirit or a ghost at all. We thought because
Somebody
we had
come
that
into the
building
hotel.
open that somebody came into the building and was
And
So,
going through.
as Hunter says, we should go check that out.
Yeah, we
is
took off.
a whisper on the camera, and it says no.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But we ended up go look at it. We went down two separate staircases in case they went up the other side.
right.
Oh yeah, we flanked
so
that
that they
building.
didn't
We
have
did
any
flank
way
the building,
to
so
escape.
and then we searched
And
the
we
entire...
all went in the different directions and converged to that point. So
and then searched the downstairs and basement.
because we literally thought there was somebody in the building.
Yep.
So then we get nothing. So now we go and do another scan through the building to make sure because there's a number of hiding places in there, but we found no one. These voices were as clear and they sounded like two men discussing where they were going to go in the building.
Yeah, not talking to us,
Not
but
to us,
talking
to each other. Yeah.
each other. Like they didn't even know we were there. Almost like they're just like, hey, how you doing? Blah blah type of conversation. But there was a lot of.
Yeah. Now, is there anything else in particular we can think of?
We went over.
Well,
that room.
we found later that another one of those same corner heavy duty steel doors on the third floor was opened up later.
Yeah.
We did hear banging around and walking up there at one point. Then we found a bathroom that had blood all over it.
So
The sink and the floor.
because I was initially because the downstairs was used at one point for a haunted house, but
Like an attraction for Halloween.
Yeah.
keep in mind I was in the military. We've all know what dry blood looks like or old blood. It's got a very distinct look to it, and it was all over the sink, the counter behind the toilet, and then actually in the toilet itself, as if someone just was dripping into the toilet.
Yeah.
That same room, the bathroom alone had a piece of caution tape taped off on it, but the one side was ripped off, so it was just hanging there.
And it had one of those old heavy plastic phones that was smashed in the floor.
Yeah, in the back corner.
Now, keep in mind, it could have been a homeless person prior, because it looked like some of those beds were actually being slept in pretty regularly. And like I said, we had words that were spray painted on some windows and stuff like that. So people were getting in there, and it was by a halfway house.
Yeah.
So who
And
knows?
I think one of the videos, wasn't it when we came back and we were watching here? Remember, I was doing a live and my sister said, "I dare you to lay in the bed" or something. And
Yeah,
I laid on
did
the
climb
bed.
into that nasty.
I laid on the bed, but then
Bed bugs
That
and-
big shadow thing you're talking
Yeah,
about, that was
when
weird.
somebody- I don't
that's
know,
on
was-
that's on
Yeah, I
Facebook
forgot
as
about
well.
that.
If you guys
Pan
want to check
through?
that out, follow our Facebook page, Spirit Hunters.
Well, let her tell about
well,
it.
no, that's what I was just gonna say. When it panned through, we didn't see it with our naked eye, really.
No, we didn't
You know?
notice it until we were watching your live back.
What
Yeah.
was it?
It was a shadow standing in the
A
corner.
big,
A
beefy
big
thing, just kind of
shadow.
it wasn't like a normal person. It was like someone almost had like a cloak and they were kind of holding it out. It looked like a big guy, but it was tall, hooded looking thing. it's
Right.
weird.
And what we look at the video, it's not there at all for 1 second, and then it's there.
Yeah,
and then
she
it
pans
disappears.
over and then goes right back, and it wasn't there the first time, but it was there the second time. It was odd, but
I don't think I heard about that before.
I don't think
No.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh.
that one's on. It's on
Sadly,
Facebook.
because we need help with editing, we have a lot of that video still to look at.
Yeah, And a lot more evidence we need to post.
Even over a year ago.
Yeah.
Anything else for you that you can think of, Christine?
Not that I can think of offhand right now.
I think we wrapped up all the
yeah.
big things anyways.
Lisa, you?
Yeah, we'll get into a couple of questions here real quick. So we had somebody ask, what was the coolest thing that you have experienced on a hunt?
Well, that was pretty cool. I would probably say, to me, I thought the coolest thing was probably that will-o-wisp thing that we talked about in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
That will-o-wisp was pretty neat.
Lisa, you got a...
Like a favorite overall, or like from...
No, just in general, I think.
I don't know. I think the last place that we just did, Glen
Genesee Falls.
Why do I always keep saying Glen Falls? The Genesee Falls. We got some pretty good stuff there, and I think that was the first time that I personally had ever felt like head to toe tingling.
Oh. And not just that, we discussed before on a previous episode about her and her dowsing rods. That she got very specific information that was then later verified almost exactly about how this one man died and where he was, and
we'll go into the details.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more later.
Well, yeah.
So that was probably her coolest moment anyway.
Yeah, that and having my butt grabbed.
Yeah.
Oh, at the cat house.
From the kitty house.
Yeah.
Portville cat house, yeah.
I mean, okay, creepiest or coolest? Or
Coolest.
Coolest. Are
Creepiest
we doing
is
creepiest?
actually the next question.
I got the creepy down too. Coolest, honestly, was this last one because we got to take a kind of a new person who hadn't gone with us before, Christy, and we went back in the one room, and I was really hoping we'd get stuff since it was her first time and everything. And we sit down, we set everything up, we put the spirit ball, we put out the spirit box, everything, and all of a sudden the ball just starts going off, and it's intelligently going off, answering our questions. So
That's
that
really
was
cool.
really
Do you remember
cool.
what room that was in?
It was in the back, like dining area.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember.
But it was like immediate, like when we were back there. So I thought that was really cool, and just watching somebody for the first time like see stuff like that.
I love watching that. When people,
Isn't that where she also felt like she had like that big wind gust? And
she thought a fan was blowing on her.
Yeah, close to there.
Mm-hmm. Mine would probably be at Genesee Falls, seeing that thing walk across the hallway, clear as freaking day. This 7 foot tall shadow, you could see his strides and all walk from one room in the hallway to the next, and it disappeared almost immediately. And then when we put the laser grid up there, it kind of was tweaking out the laser grid, which was I was like, okay, that's a little odd,
What about you?
Oh, I should have been thinking when you guys were talking. My coolest would probably... Well, I was really impressed, and we'll do a whole episode on that. Coolest and creepiest, I'll say, would be the Portville cat house, which we'll go into more detail on.
Really for you? I thought you'd probably pick the stone house.
Oh, that was pretty fun too.
That's the creepiest, not the coolest.
For Lansing, that was the one that probably.
That's true. That was the creepiest. Yeah, I was hearing a voice at the stone house, but the coolest I thought was probably the Portville. We call it the cat house because the owner didn't want the location disclosed.
Right. That was actually a
diamond
in the rough. That place.
Yeah.
There we were hearing, audibly hearing, and have it on camera, voices. Different voices, and like I said, we'll go into more detail later.
Yep.
And for the creepiest, you're probably right, which is our next question. The most unsettling or creepy thing during investigation.
Well,
for me was the doctor at the stone house. Heard a voice in the spirit box, and I typically don't get anything on there. That was very unpleasant, I think, very commanding, and just unsettling sounding, and it made me feel not good. And that's probably the only time, other than from Lisa, that I've been actually like creeped out feeling on one was with that.
By the way, the
You're
Stone
creepy,
House
Lisa.
is also the Cattaraugus County Museum and a couple other buildings, and that's one of our locations that we have teamed up with the Cat County Department of Tourism. That's the first of many for that location and other locations in the county. Sorry.
That's okay. You got a
Creepiest?
unsettling or creepy? Not even necessarily creepy, just that made you a little like unsettled,
Wasn't it in the
uncomfortable.
basement of the cat house when you were leaning back or whatever?
No, that was pretty weird. I'll say that too. Okay, and I don't get what's the word I'm looking for?
Provoked.
Too-
By ghosts.
Well, it takes a certain amount.
Yeah.
Like the cemetery.
Yeah.
But no, I don't get startled or scared or really anything like that easily. So I was doing the spirit box at the Portville Cat House, and we were in the basement, and I kept getting, I want to say it was like, screams and, something telling me to sit back and like,
Lean back,
lean back.
lay down.
For some reason, in my head, it was like, oh, this thing wants, to
It
cut my
wants to
neck.
get
And
you,
it just
yeah.
kept telling me to lean back, sit back. And so I'm just sitting there. I was like, I'm not doing it, And it was just so persistent until I eventually just stopped. But
I was gonna say, I don't think when you say the spirit box, people don't know that you put the headphones on. and then
It's
the
a sensory
blindfold.
deprivation
Yeah.
thing we do.
you blindfold yourself, and you got these soundproof headphones on, and you plug it into the spirit box that cycles through these AM stations.
So he can't see you. Someone else or multiple other people from, farther away
Can't see or hear.
are asking him questions specifically, so that there's no, interference. That way, if he answers something that's in direct response to one of those questions, we know we might have something.
Right.
In this case, at that place, that happened many times.
Yeah. Well, the first one I was going to originally say was when we went to Hencoop the second time. This is the only part that I'm saying of it because that's a different video. But we were all back there, and we were getting that guy that was coming through the spirit box when you were on it, saying, like, scaring that woman or whatever. And she was
Yeah.
like, we kept hearing these bangs and crunches in the woods, so we go to look back there, and then a woman's voice was coming over the spirit box saying, stop.
Right, as we're about literally
Yeah.
1 foot up, about to step into the woods.
And the same guy called me the B word and specifically said my name after it when we
Yeah.
asked who are you talking about. It said Hunter, and it teed me off. So I was like, "You're barking up the wrong tree." What was it 10, 15 minutes later? You're on it, and I get shoved in the back on camera.
Yeah.
and I almost bust myself up trying to not fall on these other gravestones in front of me. But yeah, it was.
that
it
was a good one. Got a
Okay.
unsettling or creepy?
For me, it would be at the cat house. We were doing the spirit box, like sensory deprivation thing with, it was Tana and I, and we were in the basement, and all of a sudden the spirit box, like, she heard listen to, was it us?
Me.
And at that second, I heard something whisper in my ear, and I could actually feel it, which is gross because I don't want people whispering.
It was like a psst,
but
right? Or
yeah,
something
it was
that?
like this. But
You
I
could
could
hear it
actually
on
feel.
camera.
I could feel the air, and yes, you can actually. We have that up on the
It
Facebook
was on actually
page
multiple
as well.
cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was very audible, and you could see her reaction was really legitimate. And
Like it really threw her off.
Yeah.
She's like,
Also, I'm not going to get into too much because this is again another video, but or we'll talk about it. But also, something kept poking me in the back at one point, which was kind of creeping me out as well. It seemed very handsy. This
whatever.
one,
You're
whatever
talking about the
it
cat
was.
house, right?
But
Yeah, that
so-
was.
Gotta.
Lisa?
I don't think I have any like really creepy things.
Well, I know one that you were creeped out on.
What?
Guernsey Hollow.
Bigfoot?
Yeah, but no, that was a Bigfoot thing. It's
Let's
not
be
ghost
honest.
related. It wasn't ghost related.
It still creeped you out on the ghost hunt. You
We
can say
went
it.
to this cemetery.
A different one.
Another one that's 300 plus years old that has a lot of
In the
ghost
middle
stories
of
about it.
nowhere again.
And when we were there, we started hearing. It was probably another episode. Can't go too far. Probably.
Yeah.
But tree knocks, breaking stuff, and then we hear this really loud whoop whoop thing, and we're in the middle of nowhere, deep in
Miles
national
into
forest, And
Like no service.
No.
Lisa wasn't
In the middle of
expecting
nowhere.
this. She's in mode for spirit
She's in
hunting.
her ghost hunt mode, yeah.
And we were watching her. She was getting nervous. She wasn't
got really.
going to go anywhere else from that spot
Okay,
for
being
quite a
nervous
while.
and being scared are two
Not,
totally
not
different
scared,
things.
but unsettled.
yeah.
It was. It was.
That
Yeah.
definitely
It was
unsettled you,
nerve-wracking.
you know? And that was
I
a
don't
good
wanna mess
one.
with no Bigfoot.
Because you don't see Lisa like that very often. It's very rare.
like that Bigfoot.
Shane, you got an unsettling.
The only thing that really unsettled me, and I don't want to sound like an arrogant ass, but I don't get scared that easy. But the thing in Hencoop 2 that was running around those woods and breaking bones,
Oh,
I was getting angry at it because it was like threatening my family and
But
friends.
that's what it was doing the whole time.
I was more and more getting
Trying to get us
angry
mad.
because it was deliberately just right here in this little corner of woods, and just, you know, it was getting to them a little bit at one point.
Keep in mind, we kept looking over, and we're right
Yeah.
by. We're literally feet from
And
these woods where we're hearing it, and there's nothing
that was
there.
unsettling for me. I wanted to.
But
I wanted to.
we gotta save that for a whole
Act
other
out.
episode.
Yeah.
I will
did.
say though, I did, now that you mentioned like it being a creeped out thing, I thought it was kind of creepy, but it didn't really scare me. At Genesee Falls,
Yeah, Glen Falls is another place we're going to in the future.
at Genesee Falls, Shane introduced scribing
Mm.
to me, so I was tried that in the mirror, and it took forever for me to like
Scrying. Yeah.
try to focus to do that. And I don't want to creep anybody out or anything, but when I'm focusing in on the mirror, and I remember asking Shane, because he did it too, I could see like something trying to like come out
See?
of my body.
Yep. You're not the person that needs to be doing
And-
that.
And
Why do you
I
think I
was,
wanted her to do it? She needed
I
to
was-
think out of this.
if I focused on a different part of the mirror, then it was like stuck back in. And so
That's odd.
I would sit there and I would try to focus again. And I remember asking Shane or telling him, I was just like, well, I'm focusing, but I'm seeing like, it's like the outline of my body, but it was like 3-4 inches coming out
Oh, that's weird.
of myself, you know, and then I'd blink and get sucked back in, and which I thought was kind of weird, but also at the same time, it was a little bit creepy. But I mean, I didn't. I mean, I didn't get scared or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, okay.
Well,
I don't know what's
We'll
happening.
talk more about
but-
that in other episodes.
Follow us and stay tuned.
And things related to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a good one to.
We got some good episodes coming up, guys. You need to stay tuned and you're gonna be on your feet and toes for that one.
Yeah. Like we say, I always say, make sure to check out our social media. We're Spirit Hunters. We're on all the major social media platforms and YouTube.
If you want to follow our website, it's automatically linked to everything. It's spirithunters.group. Right on there, you can see our contact information, you know, our different pages. We don't have every social media platform on there.
No, because Snapchat's
But if
not-
you go to our Facebook, we have them on there some point somewhere.
And we're adding more platforms coming up. And please be patient. We are going to get a good social media guy to help us get this stuff out there better for you and make it easier for you to use. Also, Lisa has a blog called ghostlychronicles.com.
All right. So until next time. And make sure to, if you have any questions or anything, put them in the comments or on our social media platforms.
Also, you can email us those comments at any one of our first names .spirithunters.com or at gmail.com. So it's Shane .spirithunters, Lisa, Chrissy, Hunter, Lance. Feel free to email us.
All right. So thank you guys, and be sure to tune in next time. We will probably be talking about
Either our third location
equipment.
or our
Or
scariest or personal encounter.
Any of
one
those
the
three.
two.
yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good time. See you later.